Angel Reese isn't the kind of player to keep quiet when she feels disrespected. In fact, she's built a reputation for her boldness and intensity on and off the court. So when the news broke that Caitlin Clark made it onto the All-WNBA team and Reese was snubbed, you could almost hear the mic drop without her saying a word. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Clark's rise to the All-WNBA team wasn't exactly a shocker. She's been all over headlines with her deep threes, swagger, and court vision that makes the casual fans' jaw drop and coaches break a sweat trying to figure out how to guard her. Clark had been a dynamo, grabbing attention from fans, the media, and evidently voters. But that's where things got tricky. Reese wasn't just some player showing up at the games. She was playing in them, balling out, and making noise, sometimes louder than Clark. In her mind, being left off wasn't just an oversight. It was a statement, and not a good one. Now, Reese has been one of the more talked-about players in women's basketball, whether for her skills or the fierce way she carries herself. She's a player who doesn't just beat opponents, she aims to bury them. But Reese's swagger is more than just attitude. It's a protective shield against the doubters, a declaration that she belongs in the spotlight. She's like that player at a pickup game who isn't just there to play. She's there to let everyone know that she's running this court. And for the past couple of years, she's done just that. But in basketball, recognition matters, and snubs sting. Reese's reaction to the All-WNBA list was as loud as it was predictable. She wasn't holding back on social media, letting her emotions pour out in a mix of emojis and not-so-subtle jabs at what she saw as an injustice. And who can blame her? It's one thing to not make a list. It's another to feel like your rival got the golden ticket while you're standing outside the candy store window. Reese wasn't just upset, she was furious. For someone like Reese, whose entire persona is wrapped up in proving herself and proving others wrong, being overlooked for such an honor felt like a direct shot. To understand why this slight hit so hard, it's worth digging into what makes Reese tick. Growing up, Reese wasn't just competing against other players. She was battling a basketball system that often seemed like it wasn't built for her brand of play and personality. She's not the textbook example of a clean-cut, play-it-safe athlete. Reese brings the kind of intensity that either electrifies fans or makes them clutch their pearls. When she's on the court, she's in your face, sometimes literally, and she won't back down. That's why this snub hit like a gut punch. The All-WNBA selection is more than a nod of acknowledgement. It's a statement about who the league values and the image it wants to project. When Caitlin Clark's name made the list, it signaled that Clark's style of play and her highlights were what mattered most. And while Clark undoubtedly deserves accolades, Reese saw her omission as something more personal, a reminder that in sports, being great isn't always enough. It's about being marketable, too, and Reese has often found herself on the outside looking in when it comes to the media's darlings. Clark's presence on the list was a culmination of a season where she dazzled with flashy plays and buzzer beaters. To many, Clark was a symbol of the future of the game, and her charisma on and off the court made her a magnet for fans. But Reese doesn't see herself in Clark's shadow, and that's what adds gasoline to this already fiery rivalry. She's every bit as confident, skilled, and ready to prove that she's as deserving as anyone else. It's like two boxers in the ring. One is getting all the cheers while the other is hitting just as hard, but without the applause. Reese feels like she's that second fighter, and it's not lost on her that Clark, despite playing a different style, gets more of the shine. Reese believes her contributions to the game have been just as valuable, and to have the voters ignore that was more than a slap in the face. It was like getting told to sit at the kids' table during Thanksgiving dinner. Reese and Clark's rivalry has been brewing for a while now. It's not just two players going at it on the court. It's a clash of playing styles, personalities, and fan bases. If Clark is the high-volume shooter with a killer stare down, Reese is the gritty post player who talks trash and dares you to challenge her. It's a classic contrast that has driven debates on sports talk shows and flooded Twitter timelines with hot takes and memes. And when one player gets accolades over the other, it's not just the players who feel it. It's the fans who see it as a validation or slight. Clark's selection and Reese's snub highlighted a larger issue within women's basketball. Reese's supporters see her as being part of a broader group of athletes whose style doesn't fit the mainstream mold but still deserve recognition. These players bring the grit, the trash talk, and the passion that make games feel like a battleground. But often, it's the players who keep it polished who end up on the award lists. And that's what stings for someone like Reese. She's not just mad about missing out on an award. She's upset about the message it sends. At the core of this controversy is a deeper conversation about the game and its evolution. Women's basketball has been pushing its way into the spotlight, and with that comes growing pains about who gets to be the face of that movement. Caitlin Clark, with her jaw-dropping range and market-friendly persona, fits a narrative that mainstream media loves, but Reese, with her no-nonsense, chip-on-her-shoulder mentality, challenges that narrative. Her anger isn't just about an award. It's about how she feels she's being written out of a story she believes she's helping to shape. It's hard not to chuckle when imagining Reese scrolling through social media, seeing Clark's name plastered everywhere while she's left in the background. You can almost picture her throwing her phone onto the couch, shaking her head, and muttering under her breath. She's not one to take slights lightly, and when she feels she's been disrespected, it's not just a passing annoyance. It's a full-blown declaration of war. Reese's reaction and the subsequent buzz it generated were reminders of how sports media shapes narratives around players. In an era where personalities often overshadow performance, being overlooked can feel worse than losing a game. Reese's public frustration wasn't just an emotional outburst. It was a challenge to the media and fans to see her as more than just a supporting character in the Caitlin Clark show. It was a call to recognize that the game isn't just about who has the prettiest highlights or the cleanest reputation. It's about impact, grit, and moments that change the course of a season. In fairness, Clark isn't at fault for the snub, and Reese probably knows that. But it's hard not to see Clark as the personification of the system that Reese feels isn't giving her the respect she's earned. Clark is the golden child, and Reese is the one who's had to scratch and claw for every bit of recognition. And when those two narratives collide, it's more than just a rivalry. It's a battle for who gets to be the face of the next generation of women's basketball. To some, this feud might seem like nothing more than petty drama, but there's more to it than that. This is about two players who represent different ideals and approaches to the game, both trying to stake their claim in a growing sport. Clark's accolades don't take away from her talent, but Reese's snub shines a spotlight on the unspoken criteria that often play a role in who gets honored. The All-WNBA selection wasn't just a recognition of Clark's skills. It was an indication of who the league sees as its stars. And for Reese, being left out was a reminder that she's still fighting for her place. Reese's frustration also says something about the competitive nature of the league and the players within it. Nobody at this level likes losing, and nobody likes being disrespected. But Reese's response was about more than just being angry. It was about reclaiming her voice in a narrative that she feels has been taken from her. She's not just fighting for herself. She's fighting for every player who's been told they don't fit the mold of what a star should be. In the grand scheme of things, Reese's snub and Clark's inclusion may seem like a small moment in the history of women's basketball, but these moments matter. They're the little sparks that ignite larger conversations about what it means to be a star and how success is defined. Reese's anger wasn't just about not getting a trophy or a spot on the list. It was about feeling like she wasn't being seen for what she brings to the game. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.